The Special Jigsaw Puzzles is a Photoshop add-on that lets you create awesome jigsaw puzzles using a wide range of different shapes. This tutorial will show you how to use the add-on. Begin with loading the file, Jigsaw Puzzles 2D Special by Panos FX. If the Actions panel is not visible, select Window, Actions. Click the panel's menu button and select Load Actions from the Flight Out menu. Then load the Jigsaw Puzzles 2D Special file from your hard disk. The actions are grouped into two groups, Step 1 and Step 2. The actions contained in the Step 1 group create the different puzzles. You need to load a photo and run one of these actions. For a quick reference to the different puzzle effects, please check the image list of special puzzles. It is included in the add-on files. In this video tutorial, we'll use the concentric 5 circles action. Before running the action, you must load a photo in Photoshop. Select the concentric 5 circles action and press the play button at the bottom of the Actions panel. A vector shape shows up on the upper left corner of the photo. This shape lets you define the image pixels that will become the puzzle pieces. The vector lines show you exactly where the pieces will be cut. You can resize the shape proportionally and/or drag to reposition it. Photoshop users can also rotate the vector shape to preference. When you finish, double-click to confirm. The action is now cutting the various pieces. Each piece is contained in its own individual layer. The layers of the pieces are named Piece 1, Piece 2, and so forth. The next step lets you modify the look of the pieces. By default, each piece has two layer styles applied, bevel and emboss, and stroke. You may need to scale up or down the default settings of these two styles in order to look optimal for the size of your photo. This is exactly what this step does. Hit Continue. Only one puzzle piece is now visible. The Scale Layer Effects dialog box shows up. Click the up or the down arrow key on your keyboard to increase or decrease the scale value. Hold down Shift and click the arrow keys to change the value in increments of 10. Observe the change to the style of the piece. Hit OK. The new style settings will be applied to all puzzle pieces. Later in this tutorial, we will see how you can use the actions in the Step 2 group to fine-tune the styles of the pieces. The first one of the 3 different puzzle versions is ready. It is a floating puzzle. Hit Continue. A second puzzle version will be created in a new Photoshop document. The second version is a typical laying puzzle over a solid color background. Later in this tutorial, you will find out how to modify the size and color of the background. Hit Continue. A third puzzle will be created in a new Photoshop document. The third version shows the puzzle pieces laying precisely over the original photo. To make the effect more interesting, the action will manipulate the original photo using a combination of Photoshop filters and adjustment layers. The first adjustment layer will convert the original image to grayscale. Click the tint box and apply a color tint of your taste. In Photoshop Elements, the same effect is created by moving the hue slider in the hue saturation window. The next step lets you apply some filters to the original photo. The filter gallery shows up. The Paint Daubs filter is selected by default. You can apply any filters of your preference in this step. In Photoshop, they are applied as smart filters. When the action finishes, you can re-edit the filter settings, add new filters, etc. The next step lets you change the brightness and contrast of the background image. All these changes are applied non-destructively, using adjustment layers and smart filters. You can go back and change your settings when the action is completed. The action created 3 different documents. The first document shows a floating puzzle. Press Ctrl, Alt, and C on a PC, or Command, Option and C on a Mac, to change the canvas size. The extra space you add to the background will be filled automatically with a gradient fill. The second document shows a typical puzzle, laying over a flat background. You can double-click the background layer to change its color. Again, if you wish to change the canvas size, press Ctrl, Alt, and C, or Command, Option, and C. If you wish to replace the background with a custom photo, select the background layer, and then select the menu command, File, Place Embedded. Let's try something different. Let's move the entire puzzle onto a new image. First, load a photo. Activate the document that contains the laying puzzle version. Select the puzzle pieces group of layers and drag it onto the new document. The settings of the piece styles have not been optimized for any photo size. Sometimes, you may find that the edges of the pieces look very thick. Sometimes they may look quite flat, like in this example. We'll use the actions contained in the Step 2 group to change the style of the pieces. As you probably know, Photoshop doesn't display layer styles very accurately when the magnification is other than 100%, 50%, or 33%. What you see on your screen is often quite different to what you get when you flatten an image. The Preview Flattened Image action will temporarily flatten the image, allowing you to evaluate the exact look of the pieces. Observe how the pieces change when the image is flattened. The bevels are quite flat. To change them, you can use the Rescale Style Settings action or the Edit Style Settings action. The Rescale Style Settings action provides you a quick tool to modify the styles of the pieces. On the other hand, the Edit Style Settings action gives you more detailed control. Let's use the Rescale Style Settings action. The Scale Layer Effects window shows up. Increase or decrease the scale value, and observe the change to the piece bevels. As was mentioned, the Edit Style Settings action gives you more detailed control over the look of the pieces. Let's see how it works. Increase the bevel size to make the pieces look thicker. Change the stroke size and color to modify the size and the color of the cuts between the pieces. Hit OK. The new style will be copied to all other pieces. Let's find out how to detach a single piece or a group of pieces from the puzzle. Press V to activate the Move tool. Right-click on any piece and select its layer from the menu. Drag to detach it from the other puzzle pieces. Now let's try to detach a group of pieces. Right-click on the first piece, and select its layer from the pop-up menu. Hold down Shift, right-click the next piece, and select its layer from the pop-up menu. Alternatively, hold down Shift and Alt, or Shift and Option, and right-click the next piece. The layers of the two pieces have been selected. Drag to detach them from the puzzle. Let's detach a few more pieces. If you have Photoshop CC, you can use the Photo 3D action to apply a 3D style to the pieces. Let's modify the default style settings. Hit Continue and change the scale value to modify the degree of the extrusion. Observe the change to the thickness of the puzzle pieces. Hit OK to continue to the next step. Click inside the global light circle to change the extrusion angle. Observe how your changes affect the look of the pieces. Hit OK to confirm. The last step of the action gives you even more control over the extrusion effect. There are 3 different drop shadow styles. The first one defines the color of the extrusion. You may change the opacity of the third drop shadow style to your preference. You may also try to tweak the other parameters. That's it. You turned your photo into an awesome jigsaw puzzle.